here who was in the SSP. Before SSP, he has served in the security apparatus of our government for a long time. He and I go back a long way because we used to play cricket together in the academy. We are batchmates. And taking advantage of these kind of connectivities that we have, and we have some joint training when we joined public service, we brought some of these problems to the attention of people at headquarters. And one specific comment I'll make before I'll request Mr. Shukla to add something from his side, that SSB was given the mandate to better police the open India in Bangladesh border. There is a structural difference in the composition of ANP and SSP. In order not to harass, for instance, a Nepalese woman who might have to be searched because the police has some prior information that she may be smuggling or she may be carrying fake Indian currency, we decided to start posting women border guards. Now SSB, given our kind of recruitment regulations in India, all the central government agencies, whether on the civilian side or military or police, have to recruit nationally. So when I visited the SSP units on the border, I found women contingents, so I used to have meetings with them. Most of the educated women who join the police force, they either belong to tribal areas, so they are Oraons or Santals or educated Bhils, or then many of them come from South India, and this force is also a national force. So they don't speak Magahi, Bhojpuri or Awadhi or Bengali or Nepalese for that matter, because there is a border also with Sikkim. They speak a variety of Indian languages and they are disconnected with the people who live on the border. So there are these issues. Then you said multiplicity of mandate on your side, but I'll tell you multiplicity of mandate on our side. You mentioned corruption. It is the job of the customs to look into whether somebody is carrying contraband or banned items or things which are in the Indian public distribution system on subsidized rates. Those items are the export of which are controlled. For instance, POL, kerosene, sugar, coarse quality rice, and so on. I think we have to change our mindset in India, basically. By improving border management, we are not going to resolve these problems. And I'll come to my own assessment of how to improve things on the border later. But SSP made a huge effort, and they issued instructions to the border management teams that it was not their job to duplicate what customs was supposed to do. And so public harassment reduced to a considerable degree. But the informal trade is trade really in items which are controlled from the Indian side. And we found it an anomaly that things which are banned for export from India to Nepal, which are the BDS items, on the Nepalese side, the customs is very keen that they should actually come into Nepal because they can charge customs duties on the other side. And we found it strange, and in our bilateral customs discussions, Home Secretary's discussions, we have raised this, but there has been, for very obvious reasons, which were explained by Uddhav, no action on the other side. But there has been a degree of improvement on the border, and for which the top management has to be thanked. And besides the Home Secretary's meeting, the Joint Secretaries, security officials at different levels meeting, the district officials meeting on both sides, which is supposed to be quarterly, it's never quarterly because in UP and Bihar, the longevity of district collectors is less than 12 months. Instead of being posted to a place for 3 years, they get transferred out on an average in 9 to 10 months. So by the time a new person comes, he settles down, the quarterly meeting time is over. So these are very irregular. The police chiefs also in the border areas, the APF chief and the SSP chiefs, they have also started the practice of getting in touch with each other. And border problems are best resolved locally. instead of referring them back to the capital and then taking it up through notes between chancelleries and foreign offices, these things become more difficult to resolve from the center. So, Mr. Shukla, can I request you to say a few words, and then perhaps Professor Baral, and then... Oh, he's left. Okay. Okay, so we'll wait for him to come. Would you like to take 5 minutes to round up, especially on the practical... No, then in that case, before the questions, I'll exercise my prerogative as chair to say a few things about the border.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Actually, Uddhav could not cover many things which are included in the report. Of course, some of the things, problems we try to highlight, but there are so many other aspects. When you talk of India and Nepal relation, I always say that it's very wide-ranging, complex, very deep. That's why it also takes a lot of effort to understand the problem. Because many people say that, oh, why open border? Why don't you? Also, they say that why don't you close it? Since we are two countries, independent, sovereign nations, and very simplistic type of arguments. But it's not so easy, and we try to. Actually, I have been working on Indo-Nepal relation for a long time, but it's still sometimes I feel that I am a novice. I cannot understand the real spirit of India-Nepal relations. Sometimes I also consider to be a student. Always try to learn, but never try to be a complete, kind of perfect student. That is the situation. Now, so for the no man's land, there are certain areas. No man's land, of course. No man's land, we know, we call Das Gaja, because we have to, no one can claim it. But it is very interesting that where people have no quarrels, local quarrels, they live quite comfortably. They are together, both the people of India and Nepal. They have no quarrel actually on. Actually, they have just covered in some places. You cannot even trace the no man's land. Both because if you open the door from this side, the Indian side, the road is there, small road, village road, this track is there. If you open from this side, from Nepali side, that way they live very peacefully. That is the kind of thing. It's in some places where there is a local quarrels, naturally they try to develop some problems. This is no man's land, and what I consider after this is afterthought actually. After this report was presented, I had thought that this is really a humanitarian problem. How are you going to displace those people who have already settled for a long time? For a long years, many years. You have to settle it. You have to again negotiate with them at a local level because they are living together for a long time. Then sometimes it is a question of displacement also. Really humanitarian problem. And if the two government do not come up with new agendas, very convincing agenda, so that the local people could also be, attracted. If those conditions are there, it is very difficult to manage this no man's land. If you go to Jogbani, because we just go to Jogbani border, that is not. We went other side of the Jogbani area. Even in Birganj, very close to Birganj, there are certain villages where you can find the no man's land. Similarly, the pillars are very much close to the, and you cannot demarcate actually the border, because many of these pillars are very much built on this no man's land also. And border pillar, of course, Shuklaji had given one suggestion when we were discussing this thing in Kathmandu. Why don't you go for the longitude, latitude thing? Because we have a rivers, particularly in the Tarai. We have no problem, border problem in the far western region, particularly in the hill region, and in the far eastern hill regions. Because the rivers cannot go out of the way. It is very much there on its own track, and it cannot go out. But when it reaches the plains, it spreads out. Now it takes its own course. Mahakali River, for example, we have no problem if you go up to the Dartula side. Only small local problem about bridge. We mentioned about the bridges, small suspension bridge. They closed at 6 o'clock. We are just trying to pick up some of the issues which is related to the local people who are crossing the border, problems of local people. Similarly, in the Mahakali River, in Sarda barrage, that is a problem. I have crossed several times this Mahakali barrage, this Sarda barrage, and they have their hours. They allow certain vehicles to cross the bridge only on the specific time. 12 बजे से 2 बजे तक, उसके बाद बंद, उसके बाद 6 बजे 4 बजे से 6 बजे. This is how they are managed. Now they are extended to 7 hours recently. They have extended for the movement of people coming and going 7 hours. Recently, actually they decided long ago, but they have now started doing it right now. Similarly, we have missed this point. We have very, sometimes I feel that it is a self-managed border. Now, the SSB, Indian side, and our FEF, plus the local mechanism, CDO on the Nepali side, and district magistrate on the Indian side, they meet together and 3-4 months, but sometimes they also take long time, 6 months. But if some problem is there, they try to contact each other to settle those problems. And it is a very positive aspect. And this SLB is stationed in a 3-4 kilometer gap. Very, very close. But APF, because of our own problem, financial difficulties, manpower difficulty, about 20-25 kilometers, about 15-20 kilometers. But SSB is very much there. But if some problems are there, they have been able to cooperate with each other. That is the positive side of the India-Nepal border, and it is better managed. I am a man from the border, because I come from Jhapa, North Bengal. My bazaar was Naxalbari. Saturday Naxalbari Haat, I come from that Mechi area. Because and I have traveled all the border points, most of them, starting from Ilam to Darchula. In connection with this report also, I was with these groups. I was interested in going out to these places just to know the actual conditions of the situation. That's why lot of changes have taken place, and the changes are on the positive sides. It is not so easy to in Kathmandu and to pass remark saying that no. At the local level, lot of problem. Of course, we have already discussed local problem. If you go to Nepalganj, that's the Rupoidia side, Maharaj side, all the women and the kids are used for smuggling purposes. The whole culture, Professor Nandi is here, he's a man, he's a very internationally renowned scholars on this culture. The whole culture formation is spoiled. From the very childhood, people are used for smuggling. No education, economic conditions very wretched. And even the women are employed for these things. And all the smugglers of both the sides, they use these children and the women for carrying goods from and to India and Nepal. This is the situation, and now it also involves a kind of humanitarian consideration. How to make situation better, how to give education to the skills, how to improve their economic conditions, how to improve their cultural, that mindset. It's not related to manpower, and it's not. Of course, it takes a lot of time to correct it. Even if, as you say, that is local problems also, because yes, if the local people do not cooperate, only the state agencies cannot do that. But if the whole people are involved in something, in the local people, then what else, what the state machinery can do? There is a tremendous security cooperation between the two countries. So far, even terrorists with Udarwad, sometimes it is known, sometimes it is unknown. Sometimes we arrest people and hand it over to India. Sometimes Indians they arrest and it is not known by the press also. This is a kind of, there are certain ways of conducting interior affairs. I think I also know something about it. You know, that's the tremendous cooperation going on. Naturally, open border, people try to sneak into each the country's territory, and it happens. But we have to be more on guard. Border dispute. He just mentioned there are only 2-3 points, major points, border dispute points. Number one, Ilam is a very minor. I come from Ilam Thapa area, Darjeeling area, Sukepokori, Darjeeling, that side. It is very minor issue, Ilam. The next is Susta, of course, widely debated. UN in Nepal, Susta, enforcement, Indian independence, and all that. We spent a whole day in Susta and found that actually if the two governments try to settle it, they can do it immediately. Within 2-3 days, they can do that. Two governments have already cooperated. Armed Police Force, Nepali Armed Police Force, and the SSB, they are always cooperating. We have a huge lands now. They have not allowed those lands to, for the local people to cultivate, you know. And otherwise, if they see some land vacant, they try to occupy it and try to cultivate it. But they have now kept it. It is no man's land type. Huge land, for the acre there. Some acres of lands that it is left out. Both the sides, SSB and the Armed Police Force, they have managed to keep that land vacant for the time being, because otherwise people fill up, you know, if there is a vacuum naturally, there is a tendency to fill it up. That is not there, but only and moreover local, our own people also, some of them who think themselves as civil rights or Susta Bachao, the leader of Susta Bachao Andolan, they themselves are activists, highly politicized, belong to one Maoist political party group, and he himself claims as a leader of the Susta Bachao Andolan. And he tried to play it up, and our media pick up that story, oh, Susta, this and that. No, this thing is a local, and if you try to address this thing, try to find out, go visit there, the two governments try to decide, it is not a big problem. Because we make problem by ourselves without resolving the problem. That is our problem. A small thing big for a country like Nepal. A small incident becomes big. Sometimes it becomes national. Sometimes it also brings about revolution. A small thing. That is a student movement in Nepal. It may trigger of a nationwide movement. That will also that has also been able to topple even regime. That's why we try to make a small thing big. This is our thing, and it is the fault of two governments also. This is how as a coordinator of the whole project, as a editor of these areas, I could found that I don't find any big problem between India and Nepal. That is only the tendency not to do anything. And that's why the Nepal-India border is more or less stable. It is now better regularized than before. Of course, problems are also coming up, new problems, new situation, new problem. Naturally, it happens. We have to be more on guard to tackle these problems. And a lot of cooperation now. Recently, 2 days ago, I have carried. I failed to bring it. It is on my table there. 2 days ago, Kathmandu, I read that story about two governments are cooperating, and whatever we have said here, they are now going to do it. They say that within 4 years, they were trying to do it within 3 years, but now they say they have extended 1 more year. Now they say that all the border issues will be settled within 4 years. Only 2 days ago, before I came here in the morning, I read it. I have carried that reports also. Two governments are working on that. If they go, that way, I think it's very good development. So far the border issues are, the pillars are not a big problem. If some pillars are disappeared, new pillars should be in place. The local authority can do that. Why not the CDO and the magistrate, district magistrate or SIB, they employ local people to put those pillars there. If the place is well defined or well identified. Pillar is not a problem, but we don't put up and we just go on counting pillars. So many pillars are disappeared, so many things are now dilapidated, so many they are, we just go on reporting but without doing nothing. This is the problem. That's why pillar itself is not a big problem, we can do that. And if we do it with a positive mind, I don't think any problem is there. Of course, there are the trade problems, some landlocked countries problems, there are so many things which I only briefly mentioned because we cannot, it is not a specific study on trade, it is a general study on the problems of the border. That's why we have only, we have mentioned whatever we try to find out, we have mentioned in the report. And as a whole, I think, even by virtue of being very open border, historically, culturally, you cannot close the border. I must be very frank about it. Even if you try it, you cannot do it. No borders have been totally sealed. Even you have not been able to seal in the Pakistan border, otherwise the other issues, every day issue would not have come. But even then, we have been able to liberalize. So far the migration is concerned, I come from that area. I don't find any migration coming between Assam and my side. Otherwise, lots of Nepalis used to go to Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, particularly in the winter. You don't see that. Totally stopped because of the Assam, this the foreign anti-foreigners movement, etc. Also, that is there. Only in this middle belt and the far western region, you will see naturally our people come here, and naturally Indians also from Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, they go to Nepal. That kind of seasonal migration things. And I have always quoted Myron Oiner, my very good, though he was very senior to me, but he was a very good friend of mine, he was a MIT professor. India is a safety valve for Nepal. When he wrote that article in 1971, and then I say that India is still a safety valve for Nepal.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Baral, for that masterly summation. And I thank you especially for saying that all the problems between India and Nepal, these are small issues, are completely and totally resolvable. Our relationship is more multifaceted and multi-layered than our relationship with any other neighboring country, as I said before. But you must have mystified the audience by saying that if there are missing or damaged border pillars, why are they not repaired? Actually, they are all identified, and the strip maps are all initialed by the Surveyor General of both the countries. But until those strip maps are signed, they don't become a legal document. And until they are signed, the Nepalese government, very wisely from their point of view, have kept it as a pressure point to resolve the outstanding problems. So the 71 border issues that Uddhav spoke about, most of them are farmers' disputes or local disputes which have become sovereign issues. Those are actually, they don't exist in reality, and they don't exist also on the map as agreed by the Surveyor General, other than the 3 areas identified by Professor Baral, which we hope to resolve soon. And the one other very useful comment made by Professor Baral, specifically on the physical characteristic of the border, is that except for the western border of Nepal with India, which follows the Thalweg principle of the mid point of the main channel of the river, Mahakali, the rest of the border is, the rivers flow into India, unlike between India and Bangladesh, where we also have riverine borders, and there the rivers often change their course. In the case of Nepal, the rivers flow from north to south. But still, because the Tarai area where the rivers enter India is pretty much flat ground, sometimes the rivers tend to meander. And when they begin to meander, then they raise border issues, which are also, I believe, resolvable, going by what Professor Baral has said. So I wanted to mention a couple of things before opening the floor so that you have a better perspective. The periodic meetings have been a success by and large. I agree with Professor Baral. There has been one weakness which we are now trying to plug. And the home ministers and home secretaries meeting that took place when the interim government was in charge we had Mr. Madhav Ghimre, who was the Foreign Minister and Home Minister, and we discussed this border issue in particular. And we proposed together to our respective Home Secretaries that together with the meeting of the border officials, we should have the heads of the Bharat-Nepal Maitri Samaj on both sides, the heads of the Journalist Association, the business chamber heads, also come in and be briefed by the border officials about what decisions they took in their meeting, so that there could be proper dissemination with the informed public in the region of what happened and what transpired, and reflect that in the local media, because there are a host of now FM stations which are very active on the Nepalese side, and this kind of dissemination would help greatly, because people don't have the knowledge of what are their rights, what they can carry into India, what they can carry into Nepal. And what I said a moment ago, that given the size of the Nepalese economy, if there is a pilferage or a leakage in our public distribution system, it's our administrative problem. Why should we penalize the Nepalese people for it, and why should we say that you can only carry 1 kilo of sugar into Nepal? So for me, the problem is a very small one. The size of the Nepalese market is really tiny, and we should just lift all restrictions of all types of carriage of Indian goods into Nepal. We have to keep some controls on Nepalese goods coming into India, because Government of India allows Nepal to export agricultural or finished or semi-finished products of any type into India without quota restrictions now, and completely duty-free. So we have to apply the rules of origin there, because the Chinese-Nepal communication links are improving, and we don't want northern India to be inundated with Chinese goods brought into India through the informal trade channel. The other thing that I must tell you, which again Professor Baral has already spoken about, is the use of women and children for smuggling. I had gone for inspecting a road project to the western border, to Banbasa, and there the main contractor, who happened to be from Rajasthan, we had lunch together, and he said that he ran into a college friend of his while he was crossing the border, and he asked him what was he doing at the Nepal-India border, and he said he had shifted from Jaipur and he had opened a company there. And he said it's very lucrative and profitable, you won't believe it. He said that I have 100 employees in the company. So this contractor said, what is your company's name? He said it's called GMC. So he thought maybe it's like GMR or something like that. So he said, what does it stand for? He said, it's Guthrie Muthrie Company. And he said, what are your employees doing? He says, I have bought 100 bicycles, and these are 100 carriers, and they carry contraband goods from one side to another. So this is the nature of the border that we are dealing with, and some of the solutions that we can suggest to government are not solutions that can be acted upon by the border officials, but we have to create systems which obviate corruption, that improve things for the people who inhabit the border, and cut down on smuggling, because some of this smuggling, so-called smuggling, could be made open, transparent trade. Then we have another big issue at the border, the currency problem. The currency problem has nothing to do with Nepal, other than that the people who are manufacturing Indian fake currency notes of 1,000 rupee and 500 rupee denomination don't manufacture it in China or Nepal. But we had, even while I was in Nepal till 2013, we came across an instance of fake currency notes being mailed by DHL into Nepal from China. We know that China doesn't have a fake currency printing press, but earlier the route used to be from Southeast Asia, from Pakistan, from Middle East. All those routes one by one have been stopped, except the Pakistan route. And we know exactly where the printing is being done and how. But the Nepalese people, especially those Nepalese who live and work in India, they face the brunt, because if they don't transfer money through official channels, most of them don't, 90% of them don't, they face a great problem at the border, So we are trying to institute a system which is very difficult. We are in tough negotiations with our own Reserve Bank to have some kind of a exchange system at the main border crossing points with conversion facilities. On the no man's land, there is no problem, Professor Baral, except where there is a village road that ends, and the school is on the other side, or the hospital or the clinic is on the other side. So I have seen several no man's land road endings where not 10 gaja on both sides, but actually it extends from 30 to 40 meters. Suddenly there is a depression. There is a road up to 20 meters from the border on one side, up to 20 meters on the other side. Now, construction there is very difficult because Nilgiris district officials till recently didn't have the kind of funds that they could put in. From Kathmandu, the Indian mission could have put in the funds, but we couldn't have spent even 1 rupee on the Indian side of the border. Now we are trying to resolve it by mandating that expenditure through the SSB